Kristi Noem just got savagely roasted by South Park in episode 2.
Remember, only detain the brown ones. If it's brown, it goes down. Jesus, look out!
That scene showed ICE raid in heaven, and it ends with Gnome shooting a dog, something she does.
The choice between keeping my small children and other people safe or a dangerous animal, and I chose the safety of my children.
Breaking news, the new head of Paramount telling CNN he is standing by South Park after another utterly scathing episode about the Trump administration.
Where they rebranded her as Kristi Noem and dragged her with Botox jokes, ICE raids on Dora the Explorer, and even her puppy shooting story.
Here for questioning, cooperate and nothing bad. Holy shit!
Instead of laughing it off, she whined on Glenn Beck's show, calling it sexist and lazy.
But it's so lazy to just constantly make fun of women for how they look.
So no, Kristi, it's not that we can't criticize your job performance, it's that there's so much to criticize, we don't know where to start.
From the first minute, it was a straight shot to the jugular. They didn't care about easing into the joke. They went straight to mocking her entire brand. The Ice Barbie image she's been clinging to like it's going to save her political career. The Botox obsession that practically screams, "Please tell me I still look young." And of course, the one story that will haunt her forever. The infamous puppy shooting confession she thought was a good idea to put in her own memoir. That right there was South Park's golden ticket.
Kristi Noem speaking out in her first TV interview about fatally shooting her dog because she says the animal was untrainable.
And the first gag? Absolutely ruthless. They have her standing in this fake ICE orientation video, looking like some deranged pageant queen turned security dictator, smiling like she's about to hand out roses on The Bachelor. But instead, she drops the line. "A few years ago, I had to put my puppy down by shooting him."
Liberals and the extremists do that. If they wanted to criticize my job, go ahead and do that, but clearly they can't. They just pick something petty like that.
Now, first of all, while we're in the midst of this perpetual victimhood shtick at the hands of Kristi Noem,
Because detaining and questioning people is never easy.
Who even says that with a smile? Only Kristi Noem. And the best part? South Park didn't make that up. They didn't invent it. They just ripped it straight from her own book. She literally gift-wrapped the material for them. When you put "I shot my puppy" in your memoir, don't act shocked when a cartoon drags you for it.
2 years ago, I had to put my puppy down by shooting it in the face. Because sometimes doing what's important means doing what's hard.
They roasted George Bush. They roasted Barack Obama. They roasted Donald Trump. They even went after entire belief systems. So Kristi Noem acting like she was singled out is just laughable. She wasn't some special target. She just happened to be next in line, and honestly, she deserved every second of it. But what made her look absolutely ridiculous was how she reacted. Instead of brushing it off like every other politician who's been mocked, she decided to lose her mind over it. And that's where the fun really started.
not only is this a cartoon, but it's a show that spent the last 27 years making fun of literally everyone and everything. They've mocked every president, every politician, every celebrity, every demographic, every religion, every ideology. That is literally their entire brand.
Because let me walk you through how South Park executed this roast. The orientation skit spirals into absolute chaos. They've got ICE agents raiding Dora the Explorer, yes Dora, and then they take it even further and raid heaven itself. Like, imagine writing that down in a script meeting. Yeah, so Kristi Noem is going to order ICE to raid heaven. And it worked perfectly because it made her look like this unhinged pageant queen, barking orders with a smile plastered on her face. The joke wasn't subtle, it was a complete character assassination.
I'm the map, I'm the map, I'm the map. He's the map, he's the map.
Freeze! Oh God, okay.
And then comes one of the sharpest little digs in the episode. Right in the middle of a raid, someone yells out, "Your Botox, Miss Gnome." And without skipping a beat, she pauses for a touch-up. That one line just sums up her entire political vibe. Vanity first, politics second. Forget actual substance, forget policy. This woman's priority is making sure the injections are fresh. That's not just comedy. That's a mirror shoved in her face.
But we could use more men like you in a case on the side.
Whoa! What the f? Your Botox, Miss Noem?
Oh yeah, fix me up, fix me up. Another day doing what's tough.
And then they toss in Mr. Mackey, the school counselor turned ICE agent. That's such a perfect South Park touch, turning bureaucracy into absurd theater. Having Mr. Mackey now working under Kristi Noem shows just how ridiculous the system looks when you put her in charge.
South Park is known for its edgy humor, and in its latest episode, they've targeted a satirical eye on Homeland Security.
Now here's where the roast really catches fire. Kristi Noem's reaction. Instead of laughing it off, instead of taking the smarter path of just ignoring it, she doubled down. She ran straight to Glenn Beck's podcast and went on a rant, calling the parody lazy and petty. That's hilarious on its own because the entire point of South Park is that it's lazy and petty, and that's why people love it. Complaining about South Park being lazy is like complaining about Gordon Ramsay being mean in the kitchen. That's literally the job description.
Response from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem.
Yeah, it never ends, but it's so lazy to just constantly make fun of women for how they look.
She tried to spin it as some kind of sexist attack. According to her, South Park didn't actually criticize her job, they just mocked her looks. And apparently, only liberals and extremists make fun of women's appearances. First of all, what a weak defense. Second of all, does she really think people are that dumb?
Really gets me. Noem says if they wanted to criticize my job, go ahead and do that, but clearly they can't. Oh, we can't criticize your job performance?
South Park roasted her job performance by highlighting her ICE obsession. They roasted her vanity with the Botox gag. And they roasted her book with the puppy execution story. That's her political brand laid bare. But instead of addressing that, she played the victim card.
Groundbreaking policy initiatives, it is the fact that she wrote a book where she bragged about shooting her 14-month-old puppy in the face because it was, quote, untrainable. She literally thought that story would make her look good.
And the irony is just too much. She's not mad about policies being misrepresented. She's not mad about being unfairly attacked for things she didn't do. No, the thing that triggered her was Botox jokes and the fact that South Park reminded the world of her self-published tough leader puppy story. She got wrecked by her own words, and her entire defense was to scream sexism into the void. Critics were quick to point out that her meltdown said way more about her than about South Park. She didn't even try to counter with substance. She just leaned into the "I'm the victim here" routine, which only made the entire thing funnier.
So forgive me if I'm not exactly crying about South Park making fun of someone who thinks puppy murder is a campaign selling point. It wasn't Matt Stone or Trey Parker who introduced the idea of killing a puppy to the world. That was her.
But here's the thing. South Park didn't even need to drag her that hard. Her own record in South Dakota is a comedy sketch waiting to be written. Start with the fact that under her leadership, South Dakota ranks among the highest states for drunk driving deaths. That's not satire. That's a horrifying statistic that screams failure. Then pile on her COVID-19 response, or should I say lack of one. She discouraged mask wearing, dismissed social distancing, and pretended everything was fine while her state recorded one of the worst per capita death rates in the entire country. People were dying at record levels, and Kristi Noem was more worried about looking tough on Fox News than actually saving lives.
Let's test that theory. How about the fact that South Dakota has one of the highest rates of drunk driving deaths in the entire country under your leadership? How about your complete mishandling of COVID, where you actively discouraged mask wearing and social distancing, while your state had some of the worst per capita death rates in the entire country?
And while her state was falling apart, what was she doing? waging dumb culture wars. She banned TikTok on government devices like that was going to fix South Dakota's poverty or healthcare access. But the kicker? While she was banning TikTok, she was using state resources to boost her own social media presence. So it wasn't about safety or principle, it was about spotlight. That's the real Kristi Noem. She doesn't govern. She promotes herself.
Infrastructure. How about the fact that you've spent more time trying to position yourself for a national political career than actually governing South Dakota? You've been on more Fox News hits than you've held press conferences about actual state business. You literally...
And the scandals just keep piling up. She misused state aircraft for personal and political travel, because of course she did. She even got caught intervening to help her daughter secure a real estate appraiser license after she failed the exam. Imagine being such a nepotism queen that you're bending state systems to rescue your kid's career. That's not leadership, that's corruption with extra Botox. And let's not forget, she's logged more appearances on Fox News than she has local press conferences. Her obsession has never been about fixing South Dakota. It's always been about setting herself up for the national stage, turning every scandal into free publicity, even if her constituents are the ones paying the price.
The same Kristi Noem who used state aircraft for personal and political travel, the same Kristi Noem who intervened to help her daughter get a real estate appraiser license after she initially failed to qualify.
And then there's the cherry on top. She released her memoir in the middle of the pandemic. While people in her state were dying, while hospitals were overwhelmed, Kristi Noem was out here pushing a book deal, bragging about shooting her 14-month-old puppy. She thought it was a strong leader move, a show of grit. In reality, it made her look unhinged. Who writes that down thinking, yes, this will make voters love me? It backfired so badly that now she'll never live it down. And South Park didn't even have to exaggerate it. They just quoted her, put it in a cartoon, and the audience laughed and gagged at the same time.
Used to playing the victim that they literally cannot handle any criticism whatsoever. They dish it out constantly on a daily, minute-by-minute basis, but the second someone pushes back, even a cartoon, they immediately...
And that's the best part. South Park didn't invent a single scandal. They didn't create the Botox obsession. They didn't create the puppy story. They didn't create the corruption. They just took Kristi Noem's greatest hits and played them back to her in a way that exposed how absurd she really is. If she had just laughed it off, it would have been one of those jokes that people talked about for a week and then forgot. But she couldn't do it. She had to melt down. She had to make herself the victim, and in doing so, she amplified the absurdity. And that's Kristi Noem in a nutshell. Botox, puppies, and a meltdown over a cartoon. Hit that subscribe button, because trust me, the next political clown show is always around the corner.